Hi everybody. This is a redo of a video I was shooting when my computer decided to wig out on me and not let me finish shooting it. That guy, Gregory Wilson, who's that Northern Kentucky death row inmate, there's a few articles that I did find on it, and since the computer decided to throw me off of the internet altogether, I don't have the articles anymore, but what it is they stayed his execution. And what gets me is, and one of the articles I had is, and this is the part that blows my mind, is the Pope got involved. The Pope. I'm not joking. Pope Benedict the 16th frickin' got involved. My question is, what's with that? I mean, seriously, I'm not making this up. This was on something I found on KentuckyPost.com about it, and I'm like thinking, I know the Catholic Church doesn't approve of, execution. Well, I find that weird considering that they murdered a bunch of people during the Spanish Inquisition. That's a bit hypocritical, because they used religion to cover up all those murders of mentally disturbed people and, everything. And then, they turn around and go, oh, don't kill this guy. What's wrong with you? You murdered thousands of people, and they were innocent because they wouldn't give their homes up or tithe extra or something back in the 1500s. I mean, that's a bit two-faced. Another thing that gets me is they stayed the execution the day of because they were going that this guy might have mental health issues. Well, you know what? That's not our fault the guy had mental health issues. I mean, like I said in the last video, if he committed the crime, he needs to freaking man up and deal with it, And there was a assistant district or assistant attorney general, Heather something that I saw in one of the articles, said that, Wilson had milked the court system for all it's worth, and, he needs to deal with it. I agree with her wholeheartedly. And I even seen some comments on there that, on those pages that said, yeah, Wilson needs to grow up and deal with it. I just think that the guy just wants to not, get executed. I think he wants to continue to be, a drain on taxpayer money. I really do. I mean, if he wants to, like I've said before, if he didn't want to get put to death for killing this woman, then why did he rape and kill her? I mean, if, he had any common sense, he should have thought of that. I mean, he just did this out of pure maliciousness, and there's no two ways about it. I mean, and he got tried and convicted of it. I mean, if he was innocent, they should have proved that at trial, and he's had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to get the lead out and prove that he was innocent, and it's obvious that he's exhausted all his options, according to what I was seeing in one of the articles. I mean, and I'm really of the opinion that, this kind of stupidity, seriously, I mean, the guy needs to really, accept the fact that he's committed a crime and the crime was punishable by the death penalty, and that's what they picked him to do. I mean, the woman that was the driver, I mean, yeah, she got convicted of the same basic charges, even though she was just driving around, and yeah, she might have gotten life without parole, but, he's actually the one that actually, was the one that killed the girl. And seriously, that's what they look at. It's like, hello, she may have been just driving the car, but he actually physically raped and killed this woman. I mean, let's stop and think about that. I mean, all I see it as is, this guy just wants to drag it out longer and longer and longer and be a burden to people. I just think that's wrong. I really do. I think, the guy's already been tried and convicted. He's gone through the process of, appeals and stuff. And I really think at this point he needs to just shut up and deal with it, I mean, it shows you what a coward he is. I mean, in my opinion, is if you were innocent of it, dude, why didn't you prove it prior to now? You know, your mental health has got nothing to do with it. You know, yeah, you would be a little freaked out that you know, are getting down to the wire where you're gonna, you know, be put to death here. But you know what? That's not an excuse to get out of it. I mean, you know, you should have not committed the crime if you didn't want to get put to death. I mean, you should have known about, you know, look, if I rape and kill this woman, I'm going to end up on death row, you know. And, you know, you disposed of this poor woman's body in a field in Indiana, you know. I mean, that, he deserves to be punished for that. You know, I mean, it's the same thing, like, and I want to mention the guy in Utah at this point. I was going to do this as a second video, or third video, actually. The guy in Utah, and I was talking about this, died by firing squad recently. If you go to my playlist for the, you know, it's called Criminally Yours or something. If you go to that or that playlist, if you look after the video that I just shot on this page a little bit ago, if you look in that playlist after that video, there's information about it, about the execution and everything, on the Utah guy. Actually, and I forget, in one of the videos it actually says what other state allows death by firing squad. Excuse me, but I actually thought it was neat that they, you know, did that. I mean, you know, I wish Kentucky would, you know, fire up old Sparky and be like, okay, you know, you give them some options. Say, okay, you're going to die, and here's the way you're going to go. You know, you have a choice. You know, lethal injection, firing squad, or, you know, electrocution. You know, for example, or, you know, just do lethal injection and, you know, electrocution. Lethal injection and electrocution. You know, tell them, okay, pick one. Which one you want? You know, you want to, you know, be put to sleep like an old sick dog, or you want to, you know, be barbecued. You know, the other option, which I think is even better, but Kentucky doesn't have this. I know some states do, is the gas chamber. You know, I mean, seriously, they should look at the guy and go, okay, multiple choice, fella, you're gonna die. You know, you want to get gassed, get barbecued, or get put to sleep like you're an old sick dog. You know, which one you want? You know, I mean, you're going to suffer either way, you know, anyway, so you might as well, you know, pick one and deal with it, you know. And that's just my opinion on it. I mean, and, you know, I know some people are, you know, anti-death penalty, but I'm not anti-death penalty at all. I mean, I very firmly believe that if you committed a crime that requires you to pay with your life, then guess what you get to do? Pay with your life. I mean, you know, I mean, I may sound harsh and I may sound cruel, but you know what? You'll get over it. I mean, well, if you get put to death, you won't live, but, you know, you'll just have to deal with it, you know. I mean, I am a very firm believer in taking responsibility for your actions, you know, because, I mean, like I mentioned in that last video, I know some folks who have an extremely difficult time taking responsibility for their actions. I mean, there are some people that if I got my hands on them and had a little conversation with them about taking responsibility for their actions, you know, I'd have stuff said to me by other people, because, you know, these same people that, you know, I would love to get after for not being responsible, you know, would go through a temper tantrum on some of the other people I know and be like, you know, she got after me for, you know, X, Y, and Z, you know. And I mean, I've actually said, you know, not to these people that, you know, I would love to do this to, but to some other folks that, you know, these people that I know that are guilty of not being responsible for their actions, you know, need to be held into account for it. I mean, that's the way my parents raised me is, you know, if you did something, you need to, you know, be an adult about it and admit that, you know, yes, you did that, and yes, you know it was wrong, and yes, you're sorry. You know, you know, and I also believe that if they, did that, then, they should deal with it. I mean, and this Wilson fella, should definitely take responsibility for the fact that he raped and murdered a woman in 1988 or 87, whenever it happened. 87, if I'm remembering right. And, he needs to say, okay, I, will, if I have to pay for it with my life, that's fine. I mean, it takes a real adult to actually, or a mature person, you know, to admit their wrongdoings and actually handle it like an adult. I mean, it really, really, really burns me up when, these criminals like, but I don't want to get the death penalty. Well, then, why did you commit the crime then? It's your responsibility to take it's your responsibility to pay for your crimes. And if that requires you to pay for it with your life, then them's the breaks. um, but I'm gonna pause here because actually I have thought of a third video, or actually two more videos that I am going to do, and neither one of them have to do with crime and punishment. So, hang on. And I know, Richard, just for you, I want to say this real quick here at the end. I know you occasionally, count the videos. If you watch this video, watch the next two, because trust me, they're going to be a lot more interesting, and one of them is for you, that involves something with you. All right, so hang on, folks, and I'll be right back. Okay.